All right, Neil Belchenko here with BIKEPACKING.com, and today we're going to talk a little bit about a few different repair kits that three of us brought on a recent bike packing trip here in southern Arizona. And southern Arizona is the key word here because there are a lot of sharp, pointy things that can cause trouble. All right, let's get into it. So before we dive into these repair kits, I just want to take a quick moment to let you all know that this video is supported in part by Surly Bikes. Surly, they make serious steel bikes for people that don't take themselves too seriously. They make bikes that are versatile and durable that can be dressed up or down for commuting, bike packing, ATVing, gravel grinding, or really whatever you call fun on two wheels. With 15 original dirt-friendly platforms, they offer something that fits just about anyone for any style of riding. So for more on Surly, make sure to hit the card in the top right corner, or you can also find a link in the description below. For me, typically I'll try to carry my repair kit somewhere on my bike that is reasonably accessible. In this case, I put it on my down tube. Normally, I'll also be carrying a pump. In this case, I'm using a full suspension bike on this trip. So I had this Toe Peak mountain stage digital pump, but also it is a shock pump, which is really great. So you can add high volume or high pressure, which is fantastic. And Logan put me onto this in his recent editor's dozen. I'll also just be carrying my chain lube, which is usually in my frame bag. Usually don't use it enough. It's just easily accessible, even more accessible than my full repair kit. So this is just one of those kegs. I think Specialized makes this. Inside it has everything I need. First off, really accessible and something that I use pretty darn often is just a 4 mil. 4 mils are very common on your bike. You need to just adjust your seat post height or stem, or in my case, I used a bunch of hardware for racks, old man mountain racks, and they use 4 mils. So this really comes in handy just to check and make sure everything's tight, nothing loosened up on me, but it's just really nice to have. We're pausing. Plane overhead. We're at Tucson Mountain Park here outside of, well, in Tucson. And we're right over the flight path, so real nice planning on our part. Taped to my 4 mil here is some electrical tape. I've got some thread, which we will get into here soon, just some like nylon thread, and then some Gorilla tape. And then right away, I have this Blackburn Big Switch ratchet. I talked about this in my editor's dozen recently, but it's a great toolkit, ratchet style, but it also comes with a few unique pieces, including a chain brake tool. Then I've got a really lightweight tube. More times than not when I'm here in Arizona, this is my last case scenario. I do not want to put a tube in. And so I bring just a lightweight one just in case, but I'm going to be doing a few other things before I even try to put a tube in. I've got a Dynaplug here, just a standard Dynaplug, spare derailleur hanger, tube patch kit specific to the tube that I brought with me. Inside this patch kit, I actually stowed 2 needles that are curved. I'm gonna sew my sidewall before I put a tube in because there are so many sharp pointy things, the cactus, the cat claw, and stuff like that. And so I have that in here for that purpose. I have some super glue because that kind of helps coagulate the sidewall repair. And just in case it is a massive repair, I typically will put some super glue on the sidewall just to make sure everything kind of seals up. Fiberfix spoke replacement. So just in case I do break a spoke, I can kind of tension my wheel with this Fiberfix. Spare set of brake pads. And then a big bag of nuts and bolts and random things. I have some tubeless valves. I have my chain links for a specific 12-speed Shimano chain that I use. Some Old Man Mountain bolts, and just some odds and ends in here that will hopefully get me out of a bad situation if something breaks on my bike. Finally, I do have a 2-ounce bottle of Stan sealant at the bottom of my frame pack, and then just one of these really small Gerber kind of Leatherman style tools that really helps when I do need to kind of yank through a sidewall with that needle and thread. It's got a knife and a bunch of other things in it, so that ends up working out really well.
Hey good people, Joe Cruz, BIKEPACKING.com. We're here in southern Arizona, just got back from a week-long trip that had it all. We were on the Arizona Trail, incredibly rugged terrain, up and down all day. We visited the Champagne Gravel down by Patagonia. We had some road riding. Tremendous place to ride bikes, as many of you know, and a place I've known for a lot of my life. I lived here in the 1990s and I'm glad to be back on vacation. For this kind of trip, my thinking is that I can travel pretty lightly. There's abundant resupply. We pass stores and hardware stores and general stores, so if something catastrophic happens, we're never that far from the possibilities of repair. So I just carried the basics. Of course, I've got a multi-tool with just about everything that I could need for the fasteners on my bike. It's an old Crank Brothers, don't even know what model. One thing you want to be sure of is that on your multi-tool you have the ability to work with the bolts on your rack, and this Crank Brothers one is nice because as part of the chain tool, you can just take it off and use it as a wrench in an emergency if those rack bolts start to get loose. I'm running an Old Man Mountain rack and this actually fits. So you want to check that if you're running that kind of tech on your bike. In addition to the multi-tool, I've got a pump that has some duct tape wrapped around it. It's had it for years. Should probably refresh that at some point. High volume pump, running 2.6 tires on my hardtail for this trip. I brought a tiny Gerber pocket knife. I'm going to use this around camp, but it's going to play a role in some kinds of repairs too. In addition to that hardware, I've got the software of a spare tube, and unlike Neil, I don't get into the sewing game if I have deep trouble with the sidewall tear. So I'm going to throw the tube in and hope for the best. He's right that this is terrain where running tubes is a hazard, though we did it in the 90s and we survived. So I have a spare tube. I've got a patch kit for the spare tube in case this goes in the tire. Then this is going to come in handy for dealing with goat heads and other kinds of southern Arizona hazards. I did bring some tire sealant to top off if that proved necessary. It didn't on this trip. In fact, we had very few challenges of the mechanical sort on this trip, so we're thankful for that, but I do carry the tire sealant. And then finally, I've got a plug set that is pretty familiar to all of you. Just put the plug in there if you've got a hole that won't seal. Spare plugs get carried around in this little pill. And finally, a little bottle of chain lube like Neil had. In a better world, I would have cut off a corner of shop rag to stick into this plastic bag to carry all that around in a tidy package. I actually spread my kit around my frame bag so it doesn't all live in one place. The multi-tool is always really accessible. The lube is always really accessible, so those things live in the side pockets on the frame bag. But the rest of it kind of goes deep near the bottom bracket in the frame bag because it's not stuff I'm going to be looking to use on a daily basis, and it's relatively heavy, so it has its happiest place at the bottom of that bag. That's it.
I'm Miles Arbor with BIKEPACKING.com, and this is my repair kit. So one of the benefits of traveling with a group that frequents the Southwest more often is that they're going to be more prepared than you are. And as the sole Canadian, I chose to either unintentionally or intentionally forget most of my sidewall repair items. So they've already gone, Neil and Joe, all been pretty well stocked in that regard. So I skipped that. In order of kind of most accessible to least accessible. So my Dynaplug is one of my most accessible items because the sooner you can plug a hole in a tire, the least amount of air and sealant you're going to lose, which means a better chance you'll be able to pump it up and keep rolling quickly. So that's the Dynaplug. I think it's the Racer Pro. Next up, little Crank Bros multi-tool. This is a new one that I've actually just started using recently, and I really like how compact it is. It has all the required hex bits and torques and stuff for adjustments on racks and levers and whatever comes loose. There's a little chain tool with a bunch of spoke bits in there as well. On the back, there's a secondary plugger kit in case we run into some serious plugging issues. This lives on the non-drive side pocket of my frame bag. Wolf tooth lube and a little rag lives in my other feed bag in one of the exterior pockets, just so it's kind of as a reminder to lube my chain. If anything, I don't need to lube my chain every day, but it's good to have. 1-Up pump, which I've realized has a little hole on the bottom where you can stash tools, so I should probably make use of that. It would be a good place to stash zip ties and maybe some extra bits, odds and ends. This lives inside the main compartment of my frame bag. I really like this little Wolf Tooth Revelate Designs collaboration tool wallet. This is where all the odds and ends live for my kit. So in here I have tire levers, a little Forger Cycles wrench for rack bolts and nuts, a Wolf Tooth chain tool and also spoke tool, and also more tire levers on here, and quick links hidden inside there, which turns out aren't even the quick links for my bike, but it's good to have them. The right quick links for my bike, extra plugs, spare valves, tubeless valves, spare SBD cleats, one of those nifty little Presta to Schrader adapters in case you have to go to a gas station and fiddle with some things with an air compressor, spare brake pad, spring, and all sorts of little bolts in there. That lives in the very bottom of my frame bag, tucked in the down near my bottom bracket. Tire sealant is tucked in there as well, didn't have to use it, thankfully. And a big old tube, which I'm assuming is the right size, but then again, we're riding in a group. Someone has to be riding 29 2.6. So yeah, that's everything. Thankfully, we didn't have any problems on this trip, so didn't have to use any of it.
All right, so 3 repair kits from our Arizona trip. So if we brought something that surprised you, let us know why. If we forgot something, well, please leave it in the comment section below. If you like what you saw in this video and want to see more like it, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And if you want to help support this channel and support BIKEPACKING.com as a whole, you can do so by signing up for the Bikepacking Collective. By signing up for the Bikepacking Collective, not only are you helping support independent journalism, but you also get a few things as well, including the twice yearly Bikepacking Journal. So to learn a little bit more about the Bikepacking Collective, you can click on the card in the top right corner, or you can also find the link in the description below. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, pedal further.